All right, Heather, I hear it all the time. I want to hang on to these pants because they were my favorite from 30 years ago, and I know someday I'll be able to get into them again. They cost a lot of money when I bought them, and they're cute. And someday they're going to be back in style, so I'm going to hang on to them.
Yeah, I hear it too.
Yeah.
I hear that, but I hear the opposite.
Oh, no.
I hear that these are my fat pants.
Oh.
And now you've lost weight, but you're holding on to them because you're afraid you might gain it back.
So there's probably a better way to approach both ends of the spectrum. And let's dig into that a little bit more and what our closets hold both physically and maybe emotionally for us.
I love it.
Okay, so if we're holding on to stuff with this just in case excuse, it's not pulling the wool over either of our eyes.
Nope.
We don't take just in case for any kind of excuse. I don't care if it's just in case I fit into them again or just in case I need them because they're my fat pants. Just in case is a fear-based response.
Amen.
That means I'm afraid I'm going to be found wanting or left without when push comes to shove. So if I get fat again, I am afraid I won't have enough money to go to the store to buy new clothes. If I get fat again, I am afraid that I won't have stylish clothing. If I get rid of these, then I won't have a full closet. You know, empty space makes me nervous. If I get rid of these, I'm afraid. Well, let's turn fear into purpose. Let's take this and instead of being reactionary to our fear, let's be proactive in creating the life that we really want and the closet that we love that makes us actually feel good when we get dressed in the morning.
I totally agree. If you want change, you have to change.
Oh, how dare you!
It doesn't just happen.
It doesn't just
poof one day.
Nope.
Change.
Doesn't work that way.
It's here. You have to change something. And you might have already changed and you lost the weight and now you're afraid that you're going to gain it back.
Yeah.
So instead of being afraid, remember what you changed and continue on that path. And if you only changed it for 30 days for a 30-day cut and you're going to go back, then have you changed?
No.
Nope. Haven't changed a thing. And deciding that you want to change by itself doesn't do anything. You have to actually do it. And it's scary and it's hard. Or is it?
I think the hard part comes from our mindset. I don't think it comes from the action.
I agree.
I really don't think it comes from the action.
Change being scary is a personal thing. Some people love change. Some people are terrified of change. We are all creatures of habit in one way or another. If you think back to your days in school before your teacher had a seating chart, you end up sitting in the same desk, right?
Yes.
And then the teacher just draws the seating chart. And the reason they do the seating chart is why? To force you to change every quarter or whenever they redo the seating chart. Because if not,
to get out of your comfort zone.
If not, you're going to stay in that same desk that this is your desk. People do it at the gym. This is my spot on the front row. This is where I always stand. This is my bike in the cycle class. This is my spot. And they get really freaked out when they have to change.
It's funny how much you see it. I mean, people have their own seat at church. People have their own pet, their cashier at the grocery store aisle, and they go down to number 3.
Number 3, because Sally is nice to me.
Right.
I know. Well, and really your personal comfort level with change is what determines your ability to change. Yeah. I am fairly comfortable with change. I don't get too freaked out by it. I actually like it, but there are some things that I do get freaked out by. For example, I could never cut my hair that short.
Yay!
I am not, it terrifies me. I just couldn't ever. I did it one time in high school and I regretted it the minute I did it. And I've never done it since. And it wasn't even that short. It was just like shoulder. Yeah. But yet I get my nails done and I get crazy fun prints and colors and designs. And other people say to me, "Oh, you're just so brave. I've never done anything more than lavender." Like, what's so scary about putting bright purple on your fingernails? Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
But it's a personal comfort level thing. And so the more that you're comfortable with the change, the more likely you are to implement it.
Yeah.
So as a creature of habit and as a person who maybe habitually doesn't like change, it's time to get in the habit of liking change.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the habit of constantly changing things. And you can do it in a weird way, like rearrange your house just because.
Yeah.
Like once every couple months. Just rearrange your furniture.
That's actually my favorite thing to do. But it probably comes as no surprise coming from me.
This is my shocked face. I know. Or just change your workout routine.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do. I'd love to try a new workout. I think it's awesome. And some people are terrified. They're terrified to move their furniture. They've had the exact same arrangement forever. That's just where the couch goes.
Yeah.
Or they've always done the same group fitness classes. They've always done the same workout routines. And to change it up, oh, I just couldn't. I could never. So you really have to create the habit of changing in order to be comfortable with it and to implement it successfully. I wanted to change my body, and I knew as a person who is not super comfortable with changing my eating habits that I had to teach myself to be comfortable with it. And I knew until I was, it wouldn't happen. I knew I would not be successful.
Yeah.
So I really sat down for probably a month or more and worked on convincing myself that this was going to be okay.
That's awesome.
And it took a minute
to
convince myself that I wouldn't be starving and that I wouldn't be, wishing I could have or whatever. And then I implemented the change. And because I was comfortable with the idea of it, I was successful.
Yeah.
Boom. Sounds pretty simple. Because it is.
Because it is. But we have to allow our minds to be able to take it and run with it. And one of the ways that I teach people how to change, because they've been holding on to stuff for so long, being afraid to accept that, I teach them to ask the question you just asked about bright purple fingernails.
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we dig into what fear is, it causes that anxiety of, what if I'm left wanting or left without? And when we flip into that fear and anxiety, the best way that we can get ourselves out of the bad things that can happen from that is by posing the question. I actually learned this question as I was digging into my son's obsessive compulsive disorder. This was a book that I had read on how do I deal with the fears and anxieties of obsessive compulsive disorder. And now I can take it and I use it with my clients, and it works like a charm. I use it on myself, I use it on my kids, I use it on my clients, and it's wonderful. So anytime we're facing change or fear, anxiety, we ask ourselves two questions. What's the possibility of it happening? What's the probability of it happening?
Oh, I like that.
So when we're looking at, since we started talking about our fat pants here, or the pants that we bought 30 years ago in high school when we were size 2 and we're now our size 12, we hold up the pair of pants and say, okay, if I get rid of this, what's the probability that I'm going to need it again? Is it possible? Is it possible that I'm going to need it again? Sure, we can always come up with a reason as to why. I could lose weight. I could have a daughter that grows into these pants. I could use it for a quilt. I could. And so is the possibility there? Yeah, it's there. I'll give it to you. What's the probability that I am going to wear these pants again? Are you actively going to the gym? Are you actively changing your eating habits? Are you actively doing something to get you from a size 12 to a size 2?
Right.
Have you had kids in between then and now? Have your hips grown? Have you actually taken the measurements to see if there's any physical scientific proof that you could fit your hips back into those pants? What is the probability of you actually using those pants again? Now, if the possibility is there, but it's a little wishy-washy, and there is no probability that you could fit into those pants, then it's time to move on.
Yep.
If the possibility is there and it's strong, and the probability is there and it's strong because you're actively working towards it, then for heaven's sakes, keep the damn pants and post a picture of your success story when you fit back into them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then don't hang on to your fat pants just in case you gain
fail
the weight back.
Why would you I just don't know
why would you set yourself up to fail that way? So what's the possibility of you needing this again? What is the probability of you needing this again? And if they don't match and they don't coincide, then it's time to shift your thinking to either accept the change, to get rid of it, or accept what change needs to happen in order for you to have this again.
I love that.
So either way, you can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay? You either eat the cake and get rid of the skinny jeans, or you keep the skinny jeans and get rid of the cake.
Okay, I love that. So
I love how we match up so well.
So there's a pretty easy way to decide how to make these kinds of changes happen for you. If you're facing something and you're like, okay, I've decided I'm going to do this, or I want to do this. First, you need to write down your goal. We've talked about this before. Writing down your goal with an actual physical piece of paper is everything. So write it down and then make a list of the things that you're afraid of happening.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of gaining the weight back? Are you afraid of not losing the weight? Are you afraid of not being able to get out the door because your couch is in the wrong place? I don't know what you'd be afraid of with rearranging your house, but I'm sure there's some kind of fear.
Lots of fears.
So write down the fear that whatever scares you, the possible things that could happen. What could possibly happen if I do this? And then decide if it's worth it to you to face that fear. Because the only way that you're going to be able to create this change is to face the fear and overcome the fear.
Mm-hmm.
When you continue to just be fearful and let it sit out there and scare you, you're never going to get past it. It's the boogeyman under the bed. But if you're willing to shine the flashlight under the bed and go, oh, yep, no boogeyman,
he's not there,
you can move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to do those things. And then you're going to write down your worst case scenario. Okay. You already wrote down what you're afraid of. What's the absolute worst thing that could happen if you paint your nails bright purple? You could offend people.
You could get fired because you have to be super conservative.
Okay, there you go. So that's probably not a good idea. If it's going to put, I mean,
if it's going to put your livelihood in jeopardy,
yeah, don't do that. That, but it makes that very clean, black and white, straightforward. Yes. There's no question. It's not an option.
But isn't that's taking it from a reactionary state of fear
right
to a proactive choice that you now understand why you did it?
Yeah, I would love to do this, but I can't. So I can't. Okay, so you're going to write your worst case scenario down. And then you're going to jump or not. It's yes or no. It's on or off. It's black or white. We as humans like categories. We like boxes. We like to check off. And so if you've written it down, then you've written down what you're afraid of, and then you've decided if it's worth it or not to face it. Then you've figured out what the worst possible case scenario could be. Now it's pretty easy. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Jump or don't?
Yeah. But then also what that sets you up for is that if at any point in the future you say, oh, I shouldn't have done that, there is no guilt and no remorse because you acted on purpose.
Yes.
The best way you knew how, based on a very thorough analysis of what was going to happen.
Using the logic that we talked about a while back, not the emotion that you're feeling.
When we react on emotion, we go, oh, I don't know, maybe I should, and we're reacting to fear, reacting to other emotions. Then if we ever feel regret, then it's like, oh, and it just hits us, and we feel shame and remorse, and we feel all these things. And those emotions are compounded because we were wishy-washy in our decision. Mm-hmm. But if we can go through this process and say yes or no, and I know that I can answer that because I'm being proactive, then if we ever get to a point where we say, oh, I shouldn't have done that, then we can say, okay, but now I can put this in my brain as a piece of information that will help me decide my next choice.
Right. And
So
you'll
there
either
is no
prove to
guilt.
yourself that you're awesome
Yeah.
and you can do really awesome things.
Yeah.
You'll blow yourself away with the amazing changes you're capable of creating. Or if you don't go through this process, all you do is reinforce those negative thoughts.
Yep.
You reinforce the fear. You reinforce the I'm not good at change. I'm not comfortable with change. I'm not good at this. I don't know how to do that. I. You just reinforce all that stuff. So this is the way to cut it all out and change the thoughts to move forward. And we'd love to help you. This is kind of our thing. It's kind of our jam.
Kind of a little more than our thing. This is our thing.
This is our jam.
We love helping you be able to shift mindset to overcome these physical boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Physical, whether it's in the home, or physical, whether it's the body. But that's what we're here for. We make our home, our head, and our health happy by figuring it all out. It's not just one or the other. It's everything all inclusive and all combined. So make sure you're following us on Facebook at HomeBod Podcast. Make sure you comment here. You can follow Heather and I are two separate people. We run our own separate businesses. So find us there and ask for the help and the support that you need. But the homework for this week is to make a change.
Yes.
So
in your closet.
In your closet. Go to your closet. Open up your closet. What are you afraid of in your closet? What are those skeletons literally in your closet? Are you holding on to skinny jeans saying, but someday? Are you holding on to fat pants saying, what if? Okay, now is the time to make the changes.
Mm-hmm. Or are you just afraid to open the door because you're not sure what it looks like in there?
Oh, that's a real concern too.
So very specific homework in your closet.
Yep.
Change something. Take the steps. Take the process. Ask yourself the worst case scenario. Ask yourself what you're afraid of. Make it a very logical decision and decide whether or not it's
possibility versus probability. Yeah. That's logic right there. That's not emotion.
Jump.
Do it.
You got to jump.
Yep.
You don't get to not jump.
And then share with us. We want to cheer you on. So share this podcast with somebody you know that needs that extra motivation, somebody that can work with you perhaps. And then share with us your success stories so that we can give you a big round of applause and pat on the back.
Take a picture if you can. If it's a pair of pants that you're getting rid of or a reorganization of your closet, take a picture and tag us at HomeBod Podcast. And we really want to see what you've done.
Absolutely. Okay, until next time.